Morning for me. Summer seems over, rain seems imminent, bleak, grey, stress-free Peterborough. What's new? First of all, when people come to visit, they always say, how deep is your pond? So I've actually placed a depth gauge on the wall down to the floor, and that is 1.74 meters. So I just bring them around here, stand against this wall, then you will know. Most of my friends, being short, they will drown. Projects that I'm on with at the moment, got one of these little coffee mats. I need to return that. I borrowed it sort of overnight, and I'm going to cut that out and paint it and put some perspex in for the wings and something different, I guess, because those of you that know me like something different. I put out a video last night in Hindi. Dr. Nawalgaria and his wife Lucy came over, and one thing that struck me, and I do thank Bobby Knox for it, is people would like to know how they view the pond and how they view the garden, and it's something that I've never really considered. It's just a case of, that's your native language, talk to the camera as if you're talking to a relative and just enjoy yourself basically, and they were absolutely thrilled. But Bobby Knox has got quite a good point. So what we generally do is we do a brief walk around of the garden in English, and I give them little facts and figures about various parts of the garden, then we go back to the start and then we do it in their native language. It's just something different. It's not there to provoke any animosity or negativity, it's just something different. I will be inviting other friends that we know, Lithuanians, Russians, Latvians, Laumagro. Hopefully in November is going to do one in French, and again I failed French, so I'm not going to know what on earth she's on about, but it's just something different. No need to get upset about it and thumbs down and all that, just chill out, chill out. Right, what we got, I'll follow you. Pond is looking amazing. So first off, the spin drifter, and if you just watch that for a few seconds, every so often you'll see a big pile of bubbles come up. I'll show you it from this view if the fish stay out of the way. There we go, big pile of bubbles. What is going on there? Well, I checked the older videos and the spin drifter was working fine. There is 3 elements underneath there: the bottom drain connection, the spigot connection, and the actual spin drifter on top of the spigot. So I've either damaged something, not tightened something up properly, maybe squeezed the spin drifter top down too hard and maybe deformed the rubber washer. In any case, it's got some big bubbles coming up every so often, and because it's 5.5 foot down and because I'm not going down there, it'll have to stay as it is. It's not doing any harm. When I turn the air off, there's no leak anywhere at all, so it's just purely down to that section. I'm not drawing in air from through the fiberglass or anything like that, and it's just how it is. So yeah, I'm living with that. The doubling duster is working a treat. That's absolutely fine. I am still collecting, just give me a second to open this, what we discussed the other day, and it's all these deformed pieces of micro K1. I got in touch with Evolution Aqua, as you do, and guess what? No reply. so no surprise there. But they're only collecting in the drum section. Now I'll just lift this up and I can talk about it. Terry Wright got in touch with me and says, is there a possibility that there is some kind of drive sprocket that is crushing the Micro K1 and pushing it through the vents which are down in the bottom there? Well, I did actually get in touch with Terry, and this is a direct drive motor with a shaft that runs through the centre, pops out of there, through the drum, and there is no drive sprocket at all. There is nothing inside the biological area that can crush K1. And just to prove a point, I put my hand in the other day and just got a sample handful, and I was pulling out malformed pieces that just sat in the biological area. So I still hope that I'll get some kind of answer from Evolution Aqua, but I'm not holding my breath, to be honest. Right, what's next? Lost something while I was in here. Memory fade. Ah, right. The bottom of the shower. There is, because of the design of the tank connector, the pipe doesn't go directly to the bottom of the shower. So there is about an inch of water that gathers in the bottom and potentially has got muck in there, dirt in there, nasties in there. So I am thinking of something that will sit on top like a spillway, but instead of being sideways on, it's going to be lengthways on, and hopefully return that back to the pond and make sure that the base of the shower is flushed so we're not harbouring any nasties. Speaking of which, 2 or 3 of the fish have been lazily flicking and flashing. One of those situations where you sit down on, especially my beer chair, and watch, and for 20 minutes they won't do anything at all. And when you get bored and stand up, out your eye corner, one of them has a little flash. Now I have noted that when I've been watching other people's channels, there has been a resurgence of flukes, and they seem to be getting stronger. So then VTAC or VETAC have produced a Flukes Plus, quite a bit more expensive than the standard Flukes, and just as, not so much a knee-jerk reaction, but we haven't got any in stock if we do actually need it, and we haven't scraped the fish as yet, but we will scrape the fish and see if it is Flukes. If it's not, we'll prepare for that. So I got in touch with my standard supplier, out of stock, other local suppliers, out of stock, and then happened upon Cuttlebrook. Everybody knows Cuttlebrook, very much loved place, never been myself but I'd love to go one day. And instead of the £64.95 or £67.95, they were selling it at £59.95 delivered. I ordered it yesterday morning. There was numerous communications coming through telling me the update, and I love communication. Please tell me what's going on if I order something off you. And Cuttlebrook have just 100%, they haven't done anything wrong, perfect. So I'm expecting a delivery of Flukes Plus sometime today, and after we scrape the fish, and if it is Flukes, we will do a dose. If not, we will then order something else, but we are going on holiday shortly, so I'll leave that to my neighbour who's going to be feeding the fish. We'll just stop it there so I can look at my notes and see how far I've got and if I've just waffled on regardless, so stay there. Impressive. 24 hours from ordering, it's on my doorstep. Flukes Plus, and it's for resistant flukes. Okay, we'll see how that goes. We've got to do a water test first, then we'll do a scrape second, and then we'll see how we are. Hopefully it is going to be Flukes and nothing else, because we've only got PP. Drum update, apart from picking the bits of micro K1 out, it's been absolutely perfect, well recommended. We're looking at the pond the other day, and we seem to have inadvertently created a noisy area and a quiet area, yet the fish almost always sit in this bit. Now, when I had the old pond, that gravity blade was about this position and used to drop just where the drop-off was, and the fish used to gather just at the drop-off. But that's now moved fractionally, but they still like to gather in similar areas, which is nice. I think they might be a bit hungry. That's looking good. Soragoi as usual, eating. Say hello, cat.
Hello, cat.
Right, hold your breath, people. Well, fish are friendly, water's cold, cat's hanging the washing out. Update on the 5 bricks. My builder got in touch with me Wednesday night and he says, believe it or not, I've got your 5 bricks. And when he arrived, he was sent the wrong 5 bricks, so we're still 5 bricks short. The saga of the 5 bricks. Let's go underwater again. The water clarity that I can see looks really, really good. The water over the last few days has had a green tinge. There's definite algae growth, albeit small, on the sides of the walls and the floor, which I'm not expecting anything less than that. It's just looking really, really good. So glad I got the windows. If you're considering windows, get the windows. They're just amazing. And get yourself a GoPro or something similar. Just wondering if I've covered everything. Every time the camera goes in, the Sorigo is all over it. Right, I think we'll call that a draw. I think we've covered just about everything. Everything's working well. Oh, we might add the water test results and the scrapes this afternoon, which for your information will be about seconds. So anyway, we'll leave it there. Cheers. And there you have it, folks. Good old Flukes. So we're going to check the rest of the slide. We've only just checked one fish. I don't see any reason to check any more. They're there, they look quite vigorous. We'll get rid of them. And we've also got dead ones as well. So, oh, is it dead? Maybe not. No, it's not dead. Anyway, we're going to be soon.
Well folks, it's testing time again. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? So given that we just found the Flukes, the fish are still flashing, we thought we'd actually just do a water test as well. Most importantly the chlorine, so the DPD-4 tablets in a small cup. And now I would suggest that there is perhaps the slightest hint of pink there. Obviously I'll put it on the white paper to help you tell. It's absolutely minimal, I would say, but I think it's just very slightly discoloured. I'm not sure quite how accurate DPD-4 tablets are because they don't specify the size of the cup, so obviously don't say how much water you're supposed to be looking through. But I would suggest get just the slightest tint, which is a far cry from where we were a couple of weeks ago, which is good news. Okay, and so for the other results, and what is it about new ponds? Well, the one we don't worry too much about so much. Phosphate is about 2 milligrams per litre. Okay, that's fine. But the nitrite and nitrate, I've never seen them quite so high. The nitrite was read about 2 minutes ago, and that's coming up at 20. I can't show you because unfortunately we covered up the figures with the pot holder, but that's 20 plus. The nitrite is about reading now, and that's probably 0.5, maybe slightly higher. Sorry, I can see you down there. The ammonia is 0, which is one good thing. It's quite hard to show you, isn't it? 0. pH 8, yeah, that's normal. KH 6 degrees, which is slightly lower than normal. And the GH was 15, which is ridiculously hard, which we know. So we'll have a chat with the boss when he gets back, because he's just nipped out, and I'm not sure these results are going to make him that happy. I'll decide what we're going to do about it. Okay, so I've done a little bit of reading, Google's your friend and all that. As I understand it, this is all down to the nitrogen cycle. So, as in anybody, or humans as well, we eat protein, fish eat protein, chuck out ammonia. In humans, we wee it out, so it's principal content of urine, and obviously fish do the same. That gets broken down in the pond by bacteria to nitrites, and then more bacteria break it down to nitrates. Now, the fact our ammonia is 0 is good news, because it means we do actually have the start of that bit of the nitrogen cycle working. I'm guessing that we could possibly feed them slightly less. Probably don't get fed a huge amount, to be honest, but they do get the occasional mealworms, and those are presumably predominantly protein. And what we can also do is put in more bacteria into the filter, again, because the filters, of course, haven't been going they've only been going for 3 weeks or so. So it may just be that those bacteria haven't quite caught up. So we've put a few more into the biological side of the filter. We'll feed them a bit less for the next week or so, just once a day, and we shall recheck next week and see if it's made any difference. So far, the fish are, apart from the flicking and flashing, which we found the Flukes, the fish are behaving completely normally, not worried about them being lethargic. Nitrites are actually the bigger problem, because what they do is they affect the hemoglobin in the blood, actually similar to humans can do. Anyone who has got a bit too friendly with the amyl nitrate might well have found out. It affects the hemoglobin, which affects oxygen carriage. Now, there's no sign in the fish of them wanting more air or anything like that at all. As I said, the nitrites weren't as high, relatively speaking, as the nitrates. So hopefully we'll be able to sort this problem out. Fingers crossed. Morning, folks, from a grey, overcast, but actually slightly warm Peterborough. I haven't done anything on the plants in the garden for a while. There's probably quite a lot more I could talk about, but because I've had some questions about the blue plant or the purple plant by the pond, I'm going to talk about some of the roses. So the one that everyone's talking about is this one. See, and it's a rose called Blue For You. There's only, I think, 2 roses that are genuinely blue roses. It's all to do with genetics. They're actually purple. This one and Blue Moon. Well, that was the case when I was looking anyway, and this was the most available. So that's the one everybody's asking about. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit over, because the weather's been so lousy, everything's a bit late, and then it's all rushing to catch up. So everything is out at the same time. So yeah, I'm just kind of tidying it up at the moment as all the blooms are over. If you'd ever asked me if I was going to be the sort of woman who would be pruning her roses or deadheading her roses, yeah, well, I'd have bet against you, but you'd have been right. However, it turns out that looking after your plants actually makes a difference and sort of helps them grow, so it is worth it. So been in the process of deadheading this one, but as you can see, there are some buds coming, so we'll have another flush of it. That's the beauty of this one. Although it started a bit late, it's usually sort of May to or April to November that we get flowers on it. It's quite heavily scented, but it's not a really cloying scent. I really like it. Just makes the air smell beautiful, particularly in the evenings. So that I would definitely recommend. There's a couple of others up here. Now, this one, it's the time of year to show you. Find some decent blooms. It's got a little bit mildewed, but this one. Now, this is a really old-fashioned rose. I know when people talk about old-fashioned roses, what they're thinking of is the little old lady, Victorian cottage, gardens, that sort of thing. But actually, this rose has been in this form since the 15th century. It's called Rosa gallica, or Rosa Mundi, which is Rose of the World, and it's one that's mentioned in a lot of alchemical texts. If you read Culpeper, they talk about the Rosa Mundi or Rosa Gallica, and that's that. This one is only June. You're not supposed to deadhead it because it just has one single blooming. It's only as roses have got, you know, combined to bring out the best in them, that the length of blooming time has increased. So, although I will cut some of the dead blooms off because it makes it look a bit better. It looks a bit tatty at the moment. And actually quite a lot of the roses I've got here are quite old-fashioned roses, and so will only bloom just the once. The next one here is a dog rose. So this is actually self-seeded. The original one's way down the bottom of the garden, so if anybody needs a dog rose, I can sell them to you, I can give them to you, because it self-seeds everywhere, but it's lovely. Fills the space, birds like it, so I've got a couple of them in the garden. So moving on, and bear with me, will be a little bit of wandering around. Oh, there's a baby robin. Now I don't know if you can see that, just on the stump. Little bird there, little brown speckly bird, just dropped off, got up the slide. It's our baby robin, which we've sort of been seeing a little bit more in the last couple of days. We're doing well for baby birds. We've got blue tits, they've come back, so they fledged about 6 weeks ago. Disappeared, but they've all come back. We've seen mum and dad and about 5 babies. We had blackbird nest, which was right by the path, so which is why the garden's a little bit overgrown, or one of the reasons the garden's a little bit overgrown, because obviously didn't want to touch anything that might have birds nesting in. One of those babies seems to have survived, so baby blackbird. Starlings are around making noise, the sparrows always come back every year, and we had great tits fledging in one of the boxes at the bottom. That was about 3 weeks ago. We've not seen them for a while. They do tend to disappear and then come back. Anyway, that's an aside. Back to the roses. The next one is the first rose I bought, because I really like orange roses as well. And it's called Warm Welcome. And the idea was that it was just by the garden gate, so anyone coming in get a warm welcome. It's doing really well this year, and this is another one that blooms for months and months. The reason behind deadheading the blooms is that once the flowers are set into rose hips, then plant's work is done for the year. But if you keep you'll stop the rose hips from forming, then they do keep blooming for quite a long time. And it's temperature. I'm not sure if roses are temperature or length of day controlled, but I suspect temperature, given how long they do bloom for. The next one's a fairly new one. Now this is called Rambling Rector, and it's a rambling rose. And the reason for doing this today is to sort of show you at its best. It apparently smells of apricots. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that. Again, it's lightly scented. It's quite a nice one and just glorious in its flowers. It's lovely. So a little bit more moving on. We go over the bridge. Say hello to the goldfish, which are in there, I promise you. And to this one, which has just started blooming. This we've been in, I think, 2 years we've had this in. Flowers are a little bit flecked because obviously it's been raining. This is called Buff Beauty, and this one was has been propagated from a cutting done by a friend. Again, it's another one that smells. I like the sort of lemony, fruity smelling ones. Smells lovely with this gorgeous orange rose. Quite pleased and surprised to see flowers on it already, but obviously happy. Now, got a couple I'm not sure of the names of. Okay, this is the first one, because this was a present. This was an engagement present for Steve and I 4 years ago, something like that. So just big, blousy blooms. And then another one, little patio rose, which is not very happy at the moment, unfortunately. Again, that one was also an engagement present. But The one over here that I wanted to show you is this one. Now this is another one that's was actually a self-seeded, and it's called Rosa glauca. And so it's a wild rose. It's got these beautiful little pink flowers and blue-ish leaves. Glauca means blue, so glaucoma, glaucus, well, those words like that basically just mean blue. And it's really pretty little flowers in masses of them when it's come out. Again, these are just kind of getting a little bit over, unfortunately. But that's one that's been waiting for me to find the right spot to put it. That one has. I've actually got two because they were self-seeded, and I grabbed some. Never tried propagating roses myself. I might try, not sure. I guess it's probably one of those things that it seems like a little bit of work when you read it, but probably is actually a lot simpler than it seems. So, but that'll be an experiment for an autumn, I think. Anyway, we go down here, past the workshop. There's some drilling or routing or something going on. Say hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And,
just
cutting. Right, okay. So we'll see what that ends up as. And we go out to the front. We've got a couple more. So, white, and I should be able to remember the name of this. Again, just a simple rose designed for its scent. Give us a bit of, sitting in the dining room of an evening, just to give us a nice scent wafting through. And then this one, and again this one's over pretty much, which it's about to have a good haircut. And this is a damask rose. Now the damask roses, or Rosa damascena, as in Damascus, were the original roses that attar of roses came from. So again, used in the perfume trade. I bought this because we went to a garden in Bulgaria, which had been... Then we'll go the other way. Garden in Bulgaria, which was planted in the 1910s, 1920s, by an English noblewoman who went over and married one of their royalty. Masses of the roses, so that's a bit sentimental, just to commemorate a holiday we had. So we'll nip up quickly in between the drilling. Hard at work. We'll say hello to the fish. Say hello, fish. They've honestly had personality transplants this year, particularly the chag, which has suddenly decided it's going to act like a chag and be a little bit friendly. So, which is actually really nice. It was always the most skittish. The final one to show you is this one, and this is just a really unusual colour. So, and this is to replace one of the plants in the front garden, which is just not really surviving. It's probably not quite wet enough for it, even though the weather we've had. This is a bush rose which should grow. It's supposed to grow up to 75 centimetres, so smaller than the plant that's in the garden, which is a rhododendron, and obviously they get pretty huge. And it's called Hot Chocolate, and it's just a really unusual red. So yeah, and that's my latest purchase. So we shall see how that grows. Hopefully next year. That'll just, that'll look a lot better than the not very happy bush at the moment. So anyway, thanks for that. It's just a quick run around some of the roses, some of which are a bit over, unfortunately. Just to talk about the blue for you, which is the one that most people are asking about. Thank you very much. Bye.
So that's where we are with that. That took some cutting out. Just looking at spraying that, but I'm still not certain what to do with it. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Right, so that's up to date with more pond shenanigans. The Flukes Solve Plus has gone in and it said redose in 3 weeks, so we shall do that. Kat has done the water testing and she's explained what she's found. I think that's about it. I've just been round to the builder to see when 5 bricks are and he's fast asleep, bless him. So that's it. We're going to be away for a short time. Neighbour's going to look after the fish. We've already talked about reducing the feed, and yeah. So in the meantime, get your second job, stay safe, look after your family, don't get into trouble. Bye.